I'm Hawley Kane. I call myself a recovering learning leader. I've spent many years in the learning tech world, both on the product side and as somebody who's used the solution on the learning side. And I recently, well, now it's not that recent, 2 years ago, joined Lemonade LXP because I was wowed by the outcomes that their customer had. And I had never seen that before. And my dog started barking. Lemonade is a learning and knowledge platform that allows you to make all those documents work for you, whether it's compliance, whether it's your product sheets, your policies, your procedures. You build a knowledge base, and from that, you can answer questions for your staff. You can build content. You can make sure your content is up to date. I don't want to spoil anything from John's presentation, so I'm going to hand it back for the demo, and then I'll see you at the end again for more Q&A.
Hi folks, John Finley from Lemonade LXP. We're the all-in-one learning and knowledge platform for financial institutions. So let's start by giving you a very quick overview of the platform. So Lemonade is powered by an AI-powered knowledge base that allows you to drag and drop documents in any format, and it automatically authors learning content, which you can distribute to staff through the learning experience platform, or you can distribute it to customers for customer education. So let's do a deeper dive on how the software actually works. So what you're looking at here is the main administrative interface of Lemonade LXP. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually kind of magical. So I go over to configuration, and here I can create a knowledge base at the click of a button. So you see I've already created one for my Solace Bank. So I go over here, it says Solid's Knowledge Bank, and then what I can do is drag and drop files in virtually any format. Here are all the formats here, and I just drag them onto the stage. And when I'm done, I click synchronize, and it consolidates them into one knowledge base. Once that knowledge base is built, that's when I can start to do some magical things. So I go over here to blueprints. I can create a course blueprint. And what that is an entire course that I can create with Insight AI. So it's a course on universal banking. So I wrote my prompt, please write an introduction that introduces the position, explaining the career opportunity, so on and so forth. So then I go over to synthesis, I click fetch source text. What that does is read all of the documents I just put in that knowledge base and writes a consolidated article. This is kind of the human in loop piece. Once I'm done and I think, yeah, that article makes sense, then I can go define what tone I want and so forth, and I click author with Insight AI. And when it's done, it lights up and it creates these modules. So I've created several modules in this course. I didn't do them live today because they do take a minute or two for each module, but I will show you what the output looks like. So I author these modules with Insight AI, and then I have the choice of how to distribute them. I can use them for training, internal knowledge, and support, and I'll show you how I did that now. So going over here, this is my Universal Banker Basics course. So the first piece is Insight AI wrote a script for us, which we then put into a third-party tool. This is the only AI piece that isn't ours. We didn't build our own video tool because there's so many out there. We use a tool called Synthesia.
Hi there. You're embarking on an exciting journey into the world of universal banking.
So this video goes on to explain the basics of universal banking. So that's an introduction to the course, authored with the AI in a matter of a couple of minutes. But some folks prefer to read. So Insight AI actually wrote us an article that introduces the concept, explains how banking is evolving, explains the skills you need, what a day in the life looks like, and a path to becoming a universal banker. All that written with AI in a minute or two. So that's kind of the foundational information. Now we get into some validation and testing, and Insight AI has morphed that into game-based learning. So here's some long-form content. There's actually 5 mistakes nested in, and there's 5. You have 5 lives to find the 9 mistakes that have been nested in. So I actually can't just tick a box that says I read the content. I actually have to go and read it, understand it, and correct the mistakes. And I've got 5 lives to get them all done. So that makes long form content a little more fun and a heck of a lot more effective. Next piece, it authored a true or false game where all the questions, all the animations, everything is authored with Insight AI in a matter of a couple of minutes. Writes feedback loops, all sorts of stuff. Next up, it created a multi-level crossword puzzle where all the hints and answers are about Universal Banker. Again, all authored in a matter of a couple of minutes based on your source material. Last piece is it actually authored a virtual customer conversation where a customer comes into branch, says they're looking for their credit scores. So my what as a universal banker, I'd want to guide that conversation to a point where I can understand why they want their credit scores, so I might be able to recommend some products that make sense for them. The last piece of this course, the only piece not authored with AI, it's authored with our regular authoring tools, which are the fastest in the world for creating walkthroughs of any software or app. This is a walkthrough of how to use a mortgage calculator, for example. So things that a universal banker might need to know. So that is distributing knowledge as training within the learning experience platform. The other thing it can do is it can actually answer questions in the flow of work. So if staff have questions, let's say you take your learning course and you forget, you apply that knowledge for a while, you can actually go over to click Ask AI and ask a question. So I'm going to say, I have a customer coming in to talk about mortgages and I want to be KYC compliant. Please provide some advice. So I took my KYC training 6 months ago, haven't refreshed it in a while, haven't really brushed up on the mortgage offering. I need that help. Instead of asking a colleague and disturbing anybody else, I can just go and ask Insight AI. And what it's doing now is querying that database that we created in the beginning, and it'll give me my answer. It'll even reference the source material. It'll also put links to training that I might want to take, but this allows me access to that information in the flow of work. So that is distributing that content to staff through the learning experience platform. The next option is I can use it for customer education and support. So going over here, Lemonade allows you to build a branded, searchable, WCAG compliant hub in a matter of a couple of minutes, and then you can distribute any content that you've created using Insight AI to that hub. So here, this is Solus Bank, and we have our homepage that has some information about online banking, some mobile banking stuff, but there's also channels. So I can go in and see, oh, here's the channel for financial wellness and literacy. Here's the channel for fraud training. Here's the channel for mortgage information. So you can create these channels and author the content with AI and put it on those channels in a matter of a couple of minutes to support customers and educate them. So that's a very quick tour of the two ways that there are several ways that you can distribute content in Lemonade. One of the newest features that we recently launched was a new AI mentoring tool. So here is the authoring tool. I went in and created a character named Liz Spencer. She's a young professional woman who's starting to thrive in her career as a lawyer. She's 34 years old, recently made partner. And then I can define how I score the conversation. I can even complete the rest of the profile with AI, so it just takes a couple seconds to build. What it actually builds is a discovery call, in this case, a mentoring conversation. So it's a discovery call with this character. So let's see how I do. Hi, Liz. Thanks for coming in today. I understand you're looking for a mortgage.
Hi there. Yes, I'm looking to explore mortgage options as I'm ready to purchase my first home. I'm hoping we can discuss some options that fit my income structure as a recently promoted partner at my law firm.
So we won't go through the whole conversation, but you can see I can talk to the robot, it talks back to me, and in the end, it actually evaluates how I did. So here it shows my strengths. I quickly identified a potential suitable product. My weaknesses, I failed to collect required KYC, and it even gives you sentiment. So what the customer was feeling as I asked each question. So it gives me really great feedback on how well I did. And that's all authored with the AI in a matter of a couple seconds. You can create as many personas as you want to create training modules for your staff. The last one thing I wanted to show you about Lemonade LXP is it also, in the admin section, we also have a content exchange, and it is a library, a repository of ready-made content that's in here that every Lemonade customer has access to for free. So let's say I want to go grab an AML course, I can go and grab it. Here's all the modules. I can install it on my instance. There are hundreds of courses available for our customers for free. So jumping back over to our presentation, Lemonade over the years has become more than just one platform. It's an AI-powered knowledge base. It's a learning experience platform. It's a customer education platform. It's an AI internal chatbot. It's an AI content authoring tool. It's got compliance training, it's got a full library of bank-related training, and it's got digital adoption tools that you can use as well. We work with over 100 financial institutions, and we are driving some pretty significant results in a number of different areas. This is one particular use case on reducing attrition and onboarding staff faster. We're making meaningful impact for staff, but many other use cases like digital adoption, digital fluency, compliance, making a huge impact for them. So that is Lemonade in a very quick tour. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, John. I think, Hawley, you're in the hot seat now to take some questions from the audience. Is that right?
That is it. Isn't that nice of him? He does the demo and then leaves me with all the questions.
Well, we've got a couple of questions that have come through. They're very much in two buckets. One is around accuracy and validation, and the second is around rollout and uptake. So let's start with the first one. So is there a validation or approval workflow so SMEs can check content before it goes live?
Yes, absolutely. And I think you saw in the demo, John gave you the summary. So when you went through creating the content, there was a summary of how it was going to answer your questions. So in that, you're going to see what the content creation is going to use for making it. And what he didn't show you is it also links to every single document that it looked at. And so you'll see that summary and the document, and that can be reviewed and approved by your SMEs. And then a big part of this, which I think for those of you who spend time making sure your content is valid and up to date, when something changes in your knowledge base, so for example, like regulation comes in or there's been a change to your policy, when that new document gets uploaded, any document or any course training that has reference to that policy or procedure will be flagged, and it'll pop up to say that this may be out of date, and you can go through the whole process again and regenerate. So it's not only going to create the content for you, but it'll make sure it's up to date. So you're always sharing the latest knowledge from your knowledge base.
Wonderful. That was pretty much two questions in one, which the second one, which I'm assuming you guys do get a lot, was around how do you make sure there's not kind of inconsistencies and old content floating around to then misinform kind of team members?
Yeah, no, that struggle is real, right? Like that's real when you have a SharePoint knowledge base or Google Drive. How do I know I'm using the right one? And so I'll be upfront, garbage in, garbage out when it comes to that. And I think we all know that. But when you're building your knowledge base specifically for Lemonade, that's an opportunity to make sure that you are only using the latest and greatest. And then as things evolve and get updated, that you update your knowledge base within Lemonade. And that will, again, update content. That'll make sure that any questions that your staff asks to the AI chat are giving the most updated information the whole time.
Thank you. So I know we all saw the numbers at the end of John's presentation, so they do speak for themselves. But what does rollout typically look like? Is the kind of first part of this question. And the second is, how do you ensure there's actually uptake across teams?
So our onboarding is kind of funny, I'll tell you that, because we set you up over a 6-week cycle to help you make sure that you're leveraging the tool properly, you know how each side of the product works. We have never in the history of Lemonade had to go through all 6 weeks on the onboarding because the admin side is so easy and light to use. So when people onboard up, as soon as they kind of get it, they get it. So it's typically 3 phone calls. The longest part is your knowledge base and what content you need to create. And that's where also the library comes in handy. So you can quick start with our content and then add your content over time. And the second part of the question, I totally forgot. Was it outcomes?
It was uptake. So how do you make sure people are using it?
Okay, so that's also a great question. I've been on a bit of a tour talking to our customers. And the first thing that I've noticed everyone say is the type of training is different, right? So if you think of that traditional compliance training that you take that, I'll be honest, people don't love and kind of delay it. What happens with Lemonade is because it's so interactive, it's not a click through, go, go, go. They actually kind of get tricked into enjoying it. And I say that with all honesty because I was a skeptic. I'm like, do they really enjoy it? What we've heard from customers is that employees are actually asking for more training, something that I've never heard in all my years working in the learning space. And that it's really kind of gets baked into their culture. And so they look forward to Tuesday's launch, or they look forward to another contest that's coming out. it's that game-based interactive learning that really drives people in. One of the great stories I heard recently was they had their own knowledge base, and I'm not going to say the name of the company. But what happened is once they launched Lemonade, they found it so much easier just to ask questions directly to the chatbot that people stopped going to their older knowledge base and stopped asking Sally in the back room what the answer was and stopped forwarding emails all over the place. They just used the chatbot. And so that tells me the employees just find it easier and they get the answers they want faster. And as soon as they start to realize that, they drive in, and really that builds up the adoption for customers.